right, everybody, welcome back to Lakeisha McKnight TV. Have you ever wondered whether you, as a speaker, a speaking professional, have any relationship with being a teacher? Well, you definitely have a direct connection. I'm going to talk to you about how you can become a teacher so that you can run your business more efficiently as a speaker. Stay tuned. Alright, everybody, welcome back to Lakeisha McKnight TV, where we're going to show you how to learn to become a teacher. One of the first elements that's important to recognize as a public speaker is when you're going and giving a presentation, you are actually putting on a role of a teacher, especially if you're discussing strategies and techniques within your presentation. So, today we're going to talk about how you can learn to become a teacher. And there's three steps that you want to pay attention to when learning to become a teacher. Let's look at step number one. Step number one, when it comes to becoming a teacher in your company or a teacher as a speaker, right? You want to make sure that you are a consistent learner. You want to learn, step one. So when anyone is trying to teach a subject matter or strategy or a concept, you must have learned it yourself. You have to be a professional student, as I would encourage some of my speaking students. Be a professional student. What this means is that you never stop learning. You're going to make sure that you get the latest material, whether it's credible information on the internet or going to your local bookstore, so that you can keep yourself abreast as to what's going on in your industry. You want to get those books, you want to speak to the latest experts, listen in on some of those webinars or teleseminars that they may be hosting, so that you can stay on the cutting edge within that niche and that industry. So learn. Remember to be a professional student or a learner. Okay, tip number two, when you're learning to become a teacher is this. You want to begin to implement what it is that you've learned. Implement everything that you have learned. Why do you want to do this? Is that you want to see how this information that you've learned has been able to help bring results and to bring yourself results, so that when you go forth as a teacher, you can explain how it all works. You have that credibility factor. So you want to make sure that you implement all the techniques, all the strategies that you've learned. For example, even here, when you're listening and watching the information that's being presented here through Lakeisha McKnight TV, go back and implement everything that you have learned. Implement it. Implement what you have learned. That's a very important step when you're trying to become a teacher. And I know that I've done this myself. Everything that I've learned, even for example, when I was a student in Robert Kiyosaki's entrepreneurial program, I went back and I implemented the aspects that I've learned, the strategies that I've learned, and it allowed me to build a great business that's allowing me to do many things and help many people around the world, not just here in the US, but also in Africa, still coaching those individuals when I went over there to Africa a few years ago. So I'm able to speak with them, I'm able to teach them and educate them on business and on speaking. So it's definitely something you want to do. You want to implement everything you've learned so that you can one day go forth and teach. So let's dive right into tip number three, stage three, or tip three when you're trying to learn to become a teacher is this. You want to make sure, for example, that you begin to share what it is that you've learned. Share what you have learned. What have you learned over the course of the last, 5 years or 1 year or the last few months? Look at everything that you've learned. Even here watching Lakeisha McKnight TV videos, look at everything that you learned and see, of course, the result that you have received, and then go forth and share the information. Because being a public speaker, what you're doing, you're teaching them, you're sharing the information. So the third step here is going forth and sharing what you've learned, sharing the results that you've gathered, so that people can see that, okay, it's worked for them, it's worked for you, so it can possibly work for me. And that's the mindset that many people have out there. When you're a speaker and you're going forth and you're giving your presentation, they want to see how it's helped you. They want to know your story. They want to see how it's helped, and it helped you get from point A to point B. You see, when I was in Robert Kiyosaki's program, it allowed me to step back and see, what mistakes I was making and be able to make some critical changes. And so it allowed me to see those mistakes and quickly make those changes, get them right, and really get back on the right track. Because when I was starting business, I was in the wrong industry, or wrong field. I didn't really have a passion for it, and that was couples coaching. I started with that, and then I quickly realized that that wasn't my passion. And as I moved along, I realized that speaking and sharing your message and expanding the reach of a message is what I love to do. And henceforth, this is where I am right now and what I continue to do. So you want to make sure that you review these 3 critical steps. What do we say step number 1 was? Step number 1, when you're learning to become a teacher, is this. You want to consistently learn. Become a professional student. Learn all that you can on a subject matter. Number 2, you want to begin to implement all that you have learned. Begin to get those results, right? And build your story based on those results and the things you've learned. Then tip number 3, when you're learning to become a teacher, is that you want to begin sharing all that you have learned. Share those strategies, share those results, so that you can build your credibility. People will be really anxious to hear from you, and add a little spice to it. Add some energy, add some thrill, add some tonality to what it is that you're doing when you're on stage with your voice, and you want to make sure that you get everyone engaged in your audience. And we're going to talk a lot more about engaging your audience in future episodes, but I want you to begin to learn how to become a teacher. You want to learn, you want to implement, and you want to share your information and all that you've learned so that you can sow into the lives of the members within your audience. So here you have it, learning to become a teacher. Be sure to come back by here at Wednesday. That's Wednesday, every Wednesday, right? Every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to be here, right here at Lakeisha McKnight TV, providing you with real content, real situations for entrepreneurs who keep it real. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Take care, and I'll see you next time.